All right. How are we doing today, guys? Good, good? All right, if you like to feel good, say ha. Ha. If you like to feel great, say ha ha. Ha. If you like to feel amazing, say ha ha ha. So it's kind of silly, but it's called a laugh progression, and we used to do this at the start of acting all the time. It just gets you feeling good and in kind of a light, happy mood. And that's what really today is all about. It's about those positive emotions like laughter, exuberance, motivation, and just those great emotions. And I truly believe, I think a lot of us believe, that those powerful emotions can really help us move forward each and every day and really give us a life that is just fun and amazing. So that's what we're talking about today. And for me, in my life, it's been really powerful for me because I noticed that a lot of my days, there would be days when I'd like wake up and I'd be like excited, I'd have tons of energy, I'd believe anything was possible, and I just want to accomplish all my goals. Then there'd be other days where I'd get out of bed and, some days I wouldn't even get out of bed. I'd just lie there and I'd be tired, low energy, I didn't really want to accomplish my goals, and kind of just wanted to skip the dishes. You guys ever experienced a day like that? So for a long time in my life, it frustrated me because there would be these days where I'd get a ton done, and then there'd be these days where I just wouldn't do anything at all. And I really wanted to cause correct that by thinking about what kind of habits, what kind of actions can I do every single day that are going to help boost my positive emotions. So I think a lot of us can agree that positive emotions are a certain part nature, so our genetic disposition, and a certain part nurture, so our environment, the actions, habits that we do every single day. And just on the nature part, have you guys ever met someone who's like just naturally a 10 out of 10 positive emotions? They don't need to do anything, they're just amped all the time. You guys met that? So I see these people all the time, I'm like, man, quit it, cut it out. I love hanging out with them, but I'm also just envious because they're so happy and they're just pumped up. There's also these, a group of people who their natural kind of positive emotions is just a little bit lower. So a lot of days they spend, just kind of feeling tired, lethargic, and they don't have the motivation. So we can all agree that a certain amount of positive emotions are just our genetic disposition. So if we can agree on that, then we can move towards looking at the kind of nurture. So our environment, what kind of habits can we do every single day to really boost and improve our emotions? So I'm just going to show you I made a real simple diagram. I like to make simple kind of cool diagrams. So this is it. So we got our positive emotions, and every single day, we wake up and we feel between a 0 and a 10. 10 is like your max, 0 is your lowest. So every single day you wake up and you feel some sort of amount of positive emotions. Now let's say that you feel a 5 when you wake up. What happens if that day we wake up feeling a 5, we win the lottery? What do you think happens? Does it go up or down? It goes up. Way up, probably hits that 10. So then let's say we win the lottery, we go over to our boss, we're like, because we might not be liking our job, we're like, hey man, I'm done working for you, I won the lottery. And so maybe it goes up even more because we just quit our job, we're like, amazing. So then what happens if right after we quit our job, we actually find out that we didn't win the lottery? We read the wrong numbers. What do you think happens to our positive emotions? Think it plummets? Goes down. And then maybe we have to go up to our boss and be like, hey man, it was a joke. I was just kidding around. Can I have my job back? It probably goes down a little more. We feel embarrassed and awkward. So I think at this point, we can all agree that a certain amount of our environment plays a role in how we feel every single day. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how to manufacture and create positive emotions so that despite how we feel in the morning, we have plan and process that can help generate those positive emotions. Sound cool with you guys? Okay, all right. So before we get into what the 4 points are, I'd like to just first of all tell you guys, I truly feel like I believe that I was meant to be here today. I truly believe that. And the reason is that I've spent a long time investing in personal development. And I remember years and years ago when I had first started on personal development, I was going through this kind of like transformation. You guys ever see someone who just starts to go through a transformation? They're feeling so good that they want to become like an evangelist for it. They're like, they're telling everyone because they want other people to get that feeling. Or maybe you guys have experienced that from time to time. You're like, I want everyone to see how good I feel. So that's kind of what I was experiencing early on. And so I created this personal development course that I wanted to implement at a university club level. And so I had this course. And so one day, I'm watching these two professors debate. And I see this one professor, and he's amazing. He's outstanding. His communication and logic skills are off the chart. And I see him, I'm like, whew, I need to get this guy on my team. So I walk over to his office one day, and I look at him. I'm like a 10 out of 10 emotional, positive emotions. I look at him, I'm like, hey man, you're amazing. I have this idea. Here's my idea for the personal development club. What do you think? And he's like, man, I got this much to mark. I got this much to do. And I really don't think that's something that we can implement in university. So what happens when someone you look up to doesn't believe in your vision? It hurts. It stings. And so in that moment in time, I shelved the idea. I didn't have the willpower to keep going. I shelved the idea, and years and years and years later, here I am presenting on this topic, and I'm very passionate to be here. And I'd like to ask you one simple question. Do you believe that you're meant to be here today? It's a simple question. Yeah, a few people. Okay, cool. So for the people that believe that they were meant to be here today, they're going to get a lot more out of this talk. And I'd like to give you one interesting concept before we get into the 4 points. The interesting concept is sometimes it's not about the truth of the thoughts we have, but sometimes it's more about the effect of the thought. So what is the effect of believing you are meant to be here today? The effect of that thought is that you're going to be more open to information that is in relation to that thought that can help you get ahead in life. So what I'd like for you to do right now is just go along with me. I'd like for you to turn to your partner and say, partner, you were meant to be here today. All right, cool. So now turn to your other partner and say, partner, my other partner needs a Tic Tac. So now that we're all on the same page, we all believe we're meant to be here today, we can really just get into the meat and the bones of this presentation. So, but before we do that, before I get into that, I keep leading you on like that. The first thing I want you to do is just look at that cue card in front of you, and you're going to see the numbers 1 to 10. So what I'd like for you to do is just take a quick second, think about where you are on that positive emotion scale on a daily basis, kind of like the average. So do you feel, maybe a 0, you don't want to get out of bed, you're not feeling like it, you maybe want to skip the dishes, watch Netflix? Or do you feel like a 10 where you're throwing off the covers, you're jumping out of bed, you're like, I got this, I believe anything's possible. So just rank yourself between 1 and 10. Now, this will just simply give us insight to where we are at in this presentation so that we can understand that certain things can potentially help us move up the scale. Now, underneath that scale, you're going to see 4 numbers. These pertain to each point of the presentation. So what I'd like for you to do today is just for each point of the presentation, try and find one thing that you'd like to try out in your life that you think may help you move ahead. And write that down. And after each point, what we're going to do is we're just going to share it with our partner, and then we're going to move on to the next point. Sound good with you guys? Okay, cool. So first point today is environment. First point today is environment. Now, when I was a little kid, my parents bought me this goldfish. Now, this goldfish name was Charlie. He was in this little glass enclosure. I loved this goldfish. I would pet him, feed him. I'd take him for walks. I love this goldfish. Now, the interesting thing was a little bit later in my life, I learned something about goldfish. Goldfish grow, you guys probably know this, goldfish grow in proportion to their environment. So when a goldfish is in a small enclosure, it can grow to 1 to 2 inches. But if you took that goldfish and put it in a big environment like a lake, it can grow to 12 to 14 inches. So this is 6 to 12 times its size when it's in that big environment. Now, human beings are very similar to goldfish. We grow in proportion to our environment. When we're in an environment with negative people who have limiting beliefs and small problems, we will be that size. But when we go into a large environment with big people, big dreams, big inspiration, then we'll grow in proportion to that. I'm sure you guys have heard the quote, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. It's a quote by Jim Rohn. Or, you are the average of your 5 closest friends. You guys heard that quote before? Thumbs up? Cool. Okay, a few of us have heard that before. And so this quote can be expanded to the information you are around, you begin to mirror, you begin to embody. I'd like to give you just a kind of a silly example here. Years back, I was working this framing job, and I was working with a bunch of blue-collar guys, and they had their own kind of culture, their own kind of language. Now, not to say that all blue-collar guys spoke like this, But they're very negative. They were making fun of each other all the time, and they kind of had this view of the world that it was a very harsh environment. Now, as much as I tried to resist that, eventually I started to kind of mirror them. And it got to a point where, like, one day I'm washing the dishes for my mom, and I, like, turned to my mom like, "Hey, Mom, what time's smoke break?" So that's just a silly example. But we truly mirror our environment. Have you guys experienced this before? You hang around with people, you begin to talk like them. It's the same concept why couples who are together for a long time will begin to develop the same smiles, the same micro expressions. The people that we're around, we begin to embody their same beliefs, their same gestures, their same thought process. So that's why the first topic today is environment. Now, there's two types of environmental stimuli. The first is environmental stimuli that we can control. This is things like the weather. You got your gym shorts on, you got your towel, you're going to the beach, you walk outside, it starts raining. Now, for a lot of people, that will affect them mentally. Would you guys agree? Yeah. Cool. Okay. So a lot of people that would affect them. I was on a date a while back. It's like early on dating. And I'm on this date. It's like early in the date. A bird poops on my head. It's hard. Guys, it's hard to recover from that one and still look cool. I tried. Shortly after that, if you can believe this, a squirrel started running at my leg. I'm shaking it off. It goes flying. I'm screaming like a little boy. It's very hard to recover from that, I'll tell you. It's very hard. So that's the first type of environmental stimuli, is things you just can't control. They happen to you. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that later, about how to get over that, and it pertains to thought process. So the second type of environmental stimuli is environmental stimuli that we can control. It's almost self-induced. Now, these would be a lot of the things that make up your day to day. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. If we can control and create the best environmental stimuli for ourselves, then we can boost our positive emotions. So very simply, it looks like this. We have our daily positive emotions, and it's just, how we wake up in the day. Now, these kind of things will either increase or decrease our daily positive emotions. Do you guys agree? Okay, cool. So you could think of it like this. If these things were all really good, but you were hanging around with negative Nick at work, it's almost like he's attacking your positive emotions. These might be boosting it, building it up. It might be diminishing here. So you can think of it like a tree in the woods. Now, a tree will grow in proportion to its roots. If a tree has very deep roots, which kind of is like the powerful influences of the tree, then when a storm hits it, it can withstand that storm. So if you have powerful roots, which means great people, great books, great media, and I'm going to explain what this means. This pertains to desk, car, house, which is the physical space you are in. If you establish great things in these areas, then when a storm hits you, something negative in your life comes up, you will have the power to withstand that. Do you guys agree? Cool. So let me just go through a few of these, and these are kind of the big ones for me. And I'll explain how to establish really great environment so you can flourish. So first one's people. We already kind of talked about this, but it's setting up your social circle or the people at work to be really amazing. So these are people that build you up. These are people that, when you're around them, you actually feel better than when you're not around them. So you feel like more of who you could be. Your potential is increased. So surround yourself with amazing people. Now, when I was first creating the supplement and we got it out on the market, it didn't sell for months and months and months. And what did I feel in those months? I felt very negative and self-conscious about myself. My confidence plummeted. But I had people in my life who said, keep going, keep trying, and eventually it will sell. And that's what kept me in the game. So you want to establish great people in your life. The other thing I believe is, you want to be reading good books or audiobooks or podcasts. Now, what's the best thing about books? You guys have any thoughts on that? You get to learn. Man, you get to learn. You're going to go far. You learn new words. You learn new things. You get new insights. And you have fun. That's awesome. And that's why we're here today. We're here to have a good time. So you read books. And the thing about books is you can read books about some of the best people in history. And they sat down for 1 to 2 years of their life. They took the best thoughts they ever had. They put them on paper. You can buy it for $10. It's like the price of a meatball marinara at Subway. It's extremely cheap. Now, you're going through a tough time in your life, and you read this book. Maybe it's like The Long Walk to Freedom. about Nelson Mandela and how he conquered apartheid and was in jail for like 15 to 20 years. And so when that bird poops on your head and you're like, oh man, like life sucks. And then you remember how this guy conquered apartheid and you're like, okay, maybe my problems aren't that big and maybe I can actually get through my problems. So you can read biographies of some of the greatest people on earth. You can read awesome self-help books, and you can literally plug these into your head on a daily basis. And what's going to happen is you're actually going to start to think like those people thought. I was working this landscaping job one year by myself, and I was listening to Uncle Tom's Cabin. It's like a classic literature book. It's an amazing book. And I was on my own for like 8 hours a day listening to this. It was weird. My thoughts began to be like old English thoughts. It's kind of weird. It's like someone was in my head from old England, and that was my thoughts. But it's crazy because you'll start to embody the things you hear and the influences that are around you. So you want to establish amazing things, amazing people, amazing books, and then media is the big one today. There's so much out there. You got Instagram, you got YouTube, you got Facebook, you got the news, you got all these different influences. Now you can either partner up with that and use it for good, say to meet friends or talk to people that you haven't talked to in a while, or you can partner up with it and it can become like a toxic influence where you're scrolling, you're fatiguing your brain, and then you're seeing icons, people that are at a very high level of success, or you're seeing snapshots of people in your life at the top. So it's very similar concept to when people went and saw Avatar. What happened when people went and saw Avatar? They're in the movie and they're seeing like this dude plugging his hair into this dragon. And if you guys see the Avatar, it's pretty crazy. And he's flying the dragon around. They finished the movie, they were amped up, they were amazed. And then they went into their car, they went out into the real world, and what happened? A lot of people felt this crazy low. And you can read about this online. And so the same thing happens when you look at icons or people's snapshots of their life. You're like, wow. And then you go back into your life and maybe in that moment in time, it's not so good. So it's creating that reference. So media, things that can boost you up are, maybe listening to, again, motivational stuff, movies that have great stories that when you watch it, you really feel uplifted. It's like you went to the spa. You can listen to great music that stimulates you. But the big idea here is let me talk about this last point actually before I move on. So this last point, it's kind of weird, desk, car, house. These are the biggest physical spaces we are in. Now, what do you think happens if you wake up in the morning and you roll your covers over onto a pile of dirty plates at McDonald's, and then you get up into that environment? Do you think it increases or decreases your positive emotions? A lot of people, it decreases. So you can look at things like minimalism, where you start to surround yourself with only the things that bring you joy and have purpose and make you feel amazing, and that you have a clean, pristine environment so that you're not having to process all this information. You're just feeling calm and present to the moment. So the things just to stay conscious of. Now the big idea here is we got to become aware of our environment, and I'd like to just take a concept from Michelangelo. He says that within every block of clay there was a structure waiting to be discovered, and all it took was for someone to chisel away at the excess weight that's holding it back. So you are that structure, you are that amazing piece of art, and all you have to do is start chiseling away at things that don't support your happiness or whatever kind of feelings you want to feel and experience. And then you can add on the things that bring you joy. So Brett's going to play a song for 1 minute. You have a chance just to talk to your partner about one thing that resonated with you from this first part. All right, welcome back, guys. So would someone like to share one of the things that really resonate with them from the first section? Yeah.
I really like the goldfish.
Nice. It's awesome.
Yes, and like I'm kind of in an environment where there's like a lot of things right now out of my control.
Yeah.
But that's why I like the goldfish one because I'm like, ooh, it's so interesting. Like it's just gonna be a 1 foot goldfish instead of a 1 inch goldfish.
For sure, yeah. It's up to you. Yeah, I like that. So let's just give Bernice, it's what's called a 1 clap. So I'll count down 3, 2, 1. We'll give her 1 clap. 3, 2, 1. Nice, thank you. So it's kind of a fun thing to do. So on the topic of environment, one of the things here is people. And I'd like to just tell you a quick story of someone I met. So a couple years ago, I was getting into sales for the first time. And if anyone's done sales, it's pretty tough. It's like very, very intense personal development experience. So early on, I knew that if I wanted to have the confidence and the energy to sell and to relate to people and connect with people, I was going to have to surround myself with someone who had those qualities. And so early on, I found this guy named Calvin, and he's like what we talked about earlier, is like a 10 out of 10 on the positivity, motivation, confidence scale. So this guy's very, very high level. I shouldn't say high like he's on drugs. He's very high level. And so I surround myself with him. And it's funny because when you're around new people early on, your body almost physically rejects it because they're at a different like vibrational frequency, and you have to almost force yourself back again and again until you kind of start to meet them. So that's what was happening. So early on, when we were in this friendship, he brings me over to his house, and one of the first things he does is he shows me his juicer. So he's got this juice. You guys seen juicers before? You shove like vegetables in, and this liquid comes out. You got one? That's awesome. So this guy's like we talked about earlier, very passionate because he went through that transformation. So he's talking about this juicer at a high level. Then later on, we go out for a meal together, and we're sitting down, and this is like the most picky eater I've ever met. He's like, where's this chicken come from? Like, did this chicken have friends? Like, did it have a great life? Where's the eggs and where's all the veggie source? And it's like, man, like at the time, like I care about my diet, but not that much. So I'm like, man, like this is embarrassing. Can we just order some food? I'm hungry here. But a little later on after that experience, I thought about it. I was like, man, this guy has a very high confidence, very high value on himself, and he really values what he puts into his body. Maybe there's some correlation. So I thought about it. And so then I went back to Calvin, like, Calvin, why are you so confident and why are you so energized? What do you guys think he said to me? What do you think Calvin told me his secret was? Diet. That's right, diet. He said his secret was he was feeling so good because of diet. Now, this is Calvin's beliefs. But can we all in the room agree that diet does play a role in our positive or negative emotions? Yeah, okay, cool. And so to hit this point home, I'd like to show you what I call the Red Bull curve. You guys, anyone had a Red Bull? I've had a Red Bull before. Anyone had a Red Bull? And it gives you wings. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's really crazy. So let's say you wake up and you're feeling like a 5 out of 10 emotional scale. You're like, I want to have more positive emotions, more energy, more confidence. I'm going to go for the Red Bull. What happens when you drink that Red Bull?
You're way up.
First, if your eyes open up.
Your eyes, you're alive. You're open to the world. Then what happens after a little bit of time? Go way down. You probably go below the 5. Yes, right. And then some people, what do some people do after that? Another Red Bull. Let's fire it up. But they never quite get as high as they did the first time because they've depleted a lot of their dopamine, serotonin in their brain, and their body's taxed. And then some crazy people will have a second or third one. So what happens when they go home to their family? It can be likened to that face. They're exhausted, they're tired, they're just not in the moment. So what happens if you're on maybe like a diet like Calvin? A lot of times you're going to have sustained energy for the entire day, and when you come home, you're still in a pretty good mood, and your body's still feeling pretty physically good. So today we're going to talk about diet. And I think a lot of people in the room are confused with the diet industry. Is it just me? Like, I'm confused from time to time. And why is that? I'm confused because there are so many new diet systems. 1 minute there's intermittent fasting, like the keto diet. There's a carnivore diet where they only eat meat. There's so many different diets, and what's happening here is they're creating systems, and they're creating systems to get your attention. So there's probably some benefits to some diets, but a lot of them are also selling to get your attention. Do you guys agree with that? Okay, cool. So I'm going to give you So what do you do when you have a bunch of different people competing with a bunch of different ideas? A lot of times you look for the truths. You look for where they agree on. So I'm going to give you a very simple diet system for creating lots of positive emotions every single day. So in this diet system, we want to create positive emotions every single day. We really want two things. Very simple. The first thing we want,
like vitamins and protein.
Man, that's awesome. Good job. This guy's going far. The first thing you want is foods that stabilize you. So what were the foods that create ups and downs in our emotions? Yep.
Foods that are high in sugar and sodium.
That's right. Sugar, sodium,
And sometimes carbohydrates.
alcohol, sometimes certain carbohydrates like starchy carbs that cause crazy insulin spikes. So these kind of foods, and processed foods, which gives your body lots of inflammation and generally fatigues you. So the first thing we want is stable food. So we want to stay away from the negative foods. The second thing we want, as he pointed out, was we want nutrient-dense foods. So what are nutrients? Vitamins, minerals, amino acids. Now, why would we want this? What's the benefit of this? The benefit is that our brain and our body can use it for fuel. So let's assume that you have like 2,000 calories per day, and you fill those 2,000 calories with empty food. So what's empty food? It's things that are just have calories, but there's no vitamins, there's no nutrients. What happens in that case scenario is your brain and body have nothing to feed on because they need those nutrients to create the happy chemicals and really just sustain you on a high level. So we need to fill that void, that X amount of calories, with great sustainable food high in vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. We're going to feel really good every single day. So I'm just going to touch on a few of the things that are really beneficial. The first thing is fats. You generally want unsaturated fats. A lot of people probably know this, but unsaturated fats, what are those? Those are fats found in nuts, fats found in plants, and omega-3s. Now the cool thing is they analyzed brains, and they found that brains that were high in vitamin C, B, D, E, and omega-3 were larger, had much more density, and had a higher cognitive performance. So these nutrient-dense foods are where you can get that. So fats, very good to have. You want to have protein if you can. Good protein, protein that's sourced from good sources. Grass-fed beef, salmon, those are some great sources of protein that have a lot of B vitamins. So some people don't want to eat meat. You guys know someone who doesn't want to eat meat? That's completely fine. I feel like you guys were about to think like I was going to say, no, you can't do that. No, that's honestly, that is completely fine. The thing that I would say to those people, if you're one of those people that doesn't eat meat, is the only thing you need to do is just think about what vitamins you might not be getting, what nutrients, and then just supplement with those. Go and buy some supplements or find food that can supply that. If you guys read the book Sapiens or Lessons of History, these are two great books, and they both agree on one concept, is that human beings, before the invention of agriculture, like early on agriculture, were actually healthier. And one of the fundamental things they say is because they were sourcing foods from a variety of sources. Like when they started on agriculture, people were just like eating a potato every single day for years and years and years. That's not good. Too much starch, right? And not enough nutrients. So we need to get our nutrients from a variety of sources. So fats, proteins, veggies, and fruit are great because they're loaded in those vitamins, minerals, and they're low calories. If you're counting calories, that's great. Probiotics, that's what pro-B means. You guys like probiotics? Probiotics are good. Why are they good? Is because like 80% of serotonin is created in the gut. So when we can have a healthy gut, which comes from probiotics, so organisms, bacteria in our gut, then we can create more serotonin and generally feel happier on a daily basis. As well, our gut can help metabolize all those other foods that are coming in. So we're gonna have a higher uptake of vitamins and minerals. So last one is just complex carbs. Complex carbs, you touched on it. Why are they good?
Well, because they give you energy sometimes.
Yeah? Sustained energy.
And you're like,
It's not up, it's
yeah,
not down,
too down.
it's just
They don't
sustained.
go
Yeah. So complex carbs, oatmeal, brown rice, quinoa, and many others. Just throw those into your diet and create a really healthy body. So these are it. So I just want to touch on those, and I just want to talk about now, what do we do once we got our shopping list? What do you guys do with your shopping list? Like you got your list, you create a list, you go down to the store. Go down to the store, and you're going into the store. What do you do first? You got to eat some food so that the store does not get you to buy some sugary good food. Because the store is really, it's designed like that, right? There's so many choices. And if you don't have a list, you're processing the choices, and they know that you're fatiguing your brain so that you're going to crave sugar at the end of it. And that's why they put it at eye level. They're like, come, and you're like, oh man, I'm feeling like I need this right now to sustain me. So we want to eat before we go. We want to have a list. We want to get those great foods that we talked about here. Then we want to go home. The next thing we want to do is so simple. We just want to prep that food. You guys prepped food before? It's a time saver. But also, the days when you come home from work and you're exhausted and you're tired and all you want is something that can just give you that little boost in the moment and you're thinking about ordering and to skip the dishes, you just open the fridge, you grab the food, and it makes your life a whole lot simpler. And when the food is prepped, you're not consciously thinking all day long about what am I going to eat? How many calories have I had today? Where should I buy my food at? You're not taxing your brain. You're actually able to be more present to the moment because it's planned and prepped beforehand. It's very simple. So talked a lot about diet here. Let's just take a second. Brett's going to play 45 seconds of a song this time. And let's just talk to our partner about the best idea from this section. Sound good? Cool. Awesome. I like this song. Take a seat. Take a seat. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for coming. Oh, perfect. That's really good. Yeah. You guys are here for the last 2 points. So it's perfect. Yeah. All right, welcome back, guys. So does anyone have something they'd like to share from the second point? Any insight, anything they thought was kind of cool?
Sort of people that instead of just eating chips all day, you can have a salad.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you actually be more sustained and you feel more present to the moment. So let's give a one clap. 3, 2, 1. Nice. So we talked a lot about creating an amazing environment. We talked a bit about creating diet. Now for me in my life, before I had these good habits down, I was actually in a place that wasn't really that great. I had a lot of feelings of resentment for my place in life and not having the things that I wanted. So at that time, I wanted to have a great social circle. I wanted to be good at school. I wanted to have a great physique. I wanted just a lot of things, and I wasn't getting those things. And it got to a place where it got so bad that I almost had like a paradigm shift or an epiphany. And this voice came in my head that said, if you want your life to change, you need to change. And so this ties into the start of the presentation where we talked about it's not always about the truth of the thought. Sometimes it's more about the effect of the thought. So you might be a victim to life. Like you actually might be a victim to life. You might have got unlucky. Things might have happened to you. But staying in that mindset is very hard to get ahead. When we can shift our mindset to thinking, if I want my life to change, I need to change, then we can start to look at areas for improvement. So what I did in that moment is I made a list, all the things that I wanted, and then below that list, I started to write action items, things that I could do. And I felt 2 things in that moment. The first thing I felt was empowered, because I took back the power and thought, okay, I can change my situation if I change myself. And then the second thing I felt was I felt motivation. I was like, whoa, there's actually a lot of things that I can do. There's actually a lot of things that I can get better at. This is kind of exciting. So one of the things I put on my list was social circle. And so the first thing I did, tying it back to the first point, was I started to surround myself with people who are very active in their community, people that had a lot of functions, parties to go to, and they just kind of bring me along. Now early on, I wasn't very good with talking to people, and I wasn't very good with networking and those kind of social situations. So one thing I did was I would go and I'd work out for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and I just try and pump my body full of positive endorphins, positive emotions, and I feel a little bit more comfortable in myself. And then I go into that environment, and it was a little bit easier to overcome those difficult situations. So would you guys agree that sometimes there's some movements that we do that create positive emotions? Yeah, okay, cool. So Tony Robbins has a quote. He says, motion creates emotion. So a lot of people have heard that quote. I really believe that's true, and it was true for me. So the first point on here is talking about fitness. And so when I started working out early on, I think a lot of people do this, is like they take it to an extreme. And I was working out like 1-2 hours a day. I even tried one time, I tried like an 8-hour arm workout because they promised they're going to grow my biceps an inch. And it grew, but it was just like sheer inflammation and bruising. It was a horrible experience. And then it just shrank right after. So I was like, oh man, I spent a whole day in the gym. So I guess you could call it wasting a lot of time in the gym. So later on in life, I got busier because I was an adult and I had more things I had to do. And so I learned that you can actually be very efficient. And your body only needs about 20 minutes to create the positive emotions. So who here doesn't have 20 minutes a day? I think we all got 20 minutes a day to spare. And if you don't, maybe one good idea is that you start to commute to work. Like you ride your bike, you run. Unless you live in like Sydney and you're running all the way to Victoria. That's probably not very efficient, and I wouldn't recommend it. But you just start to get that 20 minutes a day, whatever it takes. And the cool thing with fitness is that it's called a pillar habit. If you read The Power of Habit, they call it like a pillar habit. So what happens when you get fitness down is you start to get other habits down. It just kind of naturally comes because it's a pillar habit. So people start working out, they start to eat better. They maybe start to dress better. They maybe start to organize their space a little better. All these things kind of stem from fitness. So 20 minutes a day is all it takes. I'm selling you on fitness here. So what do you do when you're in the gym? Let's assume that you're going to go and do like some weights. You guys ever seen someone with like a barbell on their back? Like it looks really awkward. And if you're like new to the gym, it's like 2 weeks in, you got the barbell on your back and you're in the moment, you're just going down and it's just painful. It's horrible, it's painful. And you're in your head, you're like, oh man, this is a bad idea. What can you do in that moment? Here's what I did. I would do two things. I would smile and I would laugh, not like a crazy way, but I'd laugh to myself. I'm like, this is crazy. Whoa, am I gonna make it up? Like I just like smile and laugh at the situation. And that's something that you can carry over to other situations in life. Like life, like the bird poops on the head, like the start of the talk. You can just smile and laugh and be like, whoa, that was weird. What are the chances? And then if life's not bad, life's pretty good, you can also smile and laugh. And the thing with smiling and laughing, two things happen. The first is you start to feel better about your situation, better about your life, because you're releasing those happy chemicals. The other thing that happens when you smile and laugh, if you're not laughing like a crazy person, is that people generally want to be around you because you're like a light in a dark space. A lot of people are going through some hard times, some tough times, and if you can just generate a smile and a little bit of laugh, it's just people are just drawn to that, and it can actually lift them up. So in Dale Carnegie, his fifth principle was to smile. And we actually had one success story of a person in sales. They stuck a mirror in front of their, when they're doing their cold calls, and it reminded them to smile. And they actually got a lot more sales, and they had a lot more fun cold calling, because cold calling, it ain't fun. So second one, smile and laugh in the gym. We're gonna lift weights in the gym, or we're just gonna exercise in general. Now, what do people also do in the gym? I'm just going to pick on the gym as an example because it resonates with me. But a lot of people in the gym, they're breathing heavy. Like it's exhausting, it's tiring. They're breathing. And let's just try it together. Let's take a deep breath in. And then a breathe out. Man, how good does that feel? When you practice deep breathing, they've done studies on this, you practice deep breathing, it actually helps to improve your immune system and can make you more present to the moment. Like you just did that one time, it felt pretty good. The guy that comes to mind when on the topic of breathing is Wim Hof. You guys heard about this guy? He's a crazy guy. Like he stood in a glass enclosure of ice for 144 minutes, all ice. And he attributes his ability to stand in this ice. He also jogged up Everest in shorts. He attributes that to his breathing techniques. Now what's kind of crazy is they took 25 people and they exposed him to his breathing techniques, and then they exposed them to the common cold. And this group of people got way less symptoms. So their immune system was increased, and when our immune system's good, we have more energy, more vitality, and we generally feel better. So I'm not the expert on Wim Hof, but one technique he does is he does 30 breaths in and out, 30 times, and then he pushes it all out, holds that as long as possible, breathes in, holds it for about 20 seconds. He does that a couple times a day. You can do it as many times as you want. It'll make you feel a lot better. So that's one of his techniques. You can read more about him. Interesting guy. So we're in the gym. We're working out. We're dying under the barbell, but we're laughing like a crazy person and having a better time. And we're doing some deep breathing to help boost our immune system. And then what do you see when people walk out of the gym? You guys ever like, what's that? Euphoric. And what does their body look like? But yeah, like taller, yeah. Like their chest is out, they're feeling good. Some people, like some people who are like, they're carrying the invisible suitcases. Invisible lat syndrome, they're like, whoa! Like they're taking up like 2 lanes on the highway, and they're just like, yep, I just worked out. It was great. So some people are doing that, and but so it's body language, great body language, and that can come from us feeling good, feeling confident. But confidence can also come from just doing open body language. So I looked at people who do open body language, confident body language. They found that their testosterone increased 20%. Good for men and women. It helps with confidence. It helps with energy. Testosterone increased. Cortisol stress level decreased 25%. So real quickly, first become conscious of your body language right now in this moment. And then let's identify what open body language is. Essentially, it's you're open, you have your extremities open, so your chest, your other stuff, it's open, your arms at your side, chest is exposed, your head's up, your legs are, just kind of planted down, and you're feeling good. Now the other thing that's cool that stems from that is when people are around someone with open body language, how do they feel? Yeah, open, more relaxed. This person doesn't have something to hide. They're truthful, they're honest, and maybe they're a little bit more confident. So body language is something very easy you can do. You just start to become aware of it, your own body in the moment when you're talking to people. How am I standing? Drink shield. What am I doing? You're just becoming conscious of it, and then you start to cause correct it and create more open, confident body language, and you reap the positive emotion rewards. So talked about a few things here, and I think it's time for Brett to play a song for 45 seconds. Talk to the person beside you about one thing that resonated with you in this section. All right, welcome back. So does anyone have something they'd like to share? Yep.
Right. I love the concept of pillar habit because life is a system, right? So if you look at all the various areas of your life and calling fitness a pillar habit, it's so true. It does impact your relationships. It impacts how much energy you're going to have to work. It affects your leadership abilities and how you show up in your community. I believe that how you show up in those environments is going to have a tremendous impact on other people because emotions are contagious. You show up at work, in your community, whatever, people are going to pick up on how you're feeling.
For sure, yeah.
And fitness is a great place to start.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. So we're going to do the one clap. 3, 2, 1. Thanks for sharing. Does anyone else want to share? We got a few more minutes here. Okay, well, we'll move on here. So I'm going to share with you guys one story before we go into the next section. And I've only really told this story to like one other person because it's really pretty embarrassing. But I've come to terms with it, and now it's pretty funny. So I'm going to share it to you. There's a few people from work here. Don't be telling people at work. All right, here we go. So on the idea of fitness, so I got into fitness years ago, and I was just loving it. I was really enjoying it, and I started to take it to extreme. And it got to the place where I went into like a fitness contest where you're doing poses, like you're showing off your body. And so as I'm prepping for this fitness contest, you need to have 3 things. So the first thing is you got to have some muscles because you can show them off. Second thing is you got to have a low body fat. So I've been dieting for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I was pretty low body fat. So the third thing you got to have a spray tan. Now this is a tough one it's a real tough one for me at the time. So you had to have a spray tan. So I went in. I did the. You guys see Friends? Like he does the spray tan. He stands in the front. Then he goes to the back. I did it. I was thinking about Friends the whole time. I did it right, so I didn't mess up. But I did the spray tan, and then I went to the contest with my parents. So my mom and dad, awesome people. We went to the contest. We drove like an hour and a half from Calgary to Red Deer, and I showed up and I walked into the room, and I looked around, and everyone was like 15 shades darker. Like I thought I was tan. I thought I was really tan. And I was comparatively to myself right now, but you gotta get dark, and everyone's the same shade. So I'm standing there. I'm like. And then these thoughts like come into my mind. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna look like an idiot. Oh man, I'm way too white. Oh man, I screwed this up. I should just leave. And these thoughts start to repeat on cycle. So I got like 16 hours to the contest. Actually, no, 12 hours to the contest with my mom and dad. There's no time to get painted. A lot of people got painted. It's how you can get really dark and then you wash it off after. So there's no time to get painted. So what did we do? We went down to London Drugs, like the only place that's open. We bought the really cheap cans of spray, and then we went back to our like Motel 8, and we're in the parking lot, and I'm in my like posing shorts, and my mom and dad are out there, good old mom and dad. They're hosing me down with this spray from these cans. We go through like 15 to 20 cans, and because I'm in such it's crazy because I'm in such a negative headspace. Like my confidence is really low in the moment. Because I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna fail. Like this is horrible, and so my confidence is really low. So every time I see a car coming, we run into the room. We peek out. I'm like, Mom and Dad, we gotta get in here. We peek out, and the car's gone. Then we run back out, and then they proceed to like hose me down. And so I'm still in this negative headspace. I show up at the contest a few hours later. I'm not nearly dark enough because this stuff takes a long time to set in. And one of the aspects of the contest is you gotta like smile, and you gotta look like you're having a good time. And that adds to your score, like it actually adds quite a bit. And so I got up there and I'm a shell of a man I once was. And my spray tan is really awful still. And I do like a flimsy like chicken arm flex, and I'm like I'm just like that, like I don't want to be here. So what was the result? The result was I didn't win the contest. And the result was that I actually had a really, I was in such a negative headspace that I didn't have a great time enjoying a time of my life with my parents. And it could have been a really fun time and a really funny time. But because the headspace was so negative, it really just ruined the time. So would you guys agree that sometimes our thoughts can get in our way, and sometimes our thoughts will dictate how good or bad we feel? You guys agree with that? That's pretty true. So they looked at like thoughts, and they saw that there's three types of thoughts. So there is the type of thought, and they all happen in different parts of the brain. There's the type of thought that helps you problem solve. It's very beneficial. You can plan your future. You can look back in your history and use those insights to plan. There's a type of thought that is experiential. So you're in the moment, you're feeling things, you're smelling things, you're really experiencing, and that's kind of like a present feeling. And then there's the incessant thoughts. Doesn't sound very good. Incessant thoughts. So what are those? Those are the constant flood of thoughts in our mind. It's just a constant dialogue. And when they look at a lot of people's thoughts, they found that about 80% of those thoughts are negative, and about 90% are secular. So they're recurring. It's the same thought, but nothing's happening. So what did I do early on? Because I wasn't necessarily a very positive thinker. What I did early on was I would look at people who are extremely positive, and I would try and model their behavior. So it's like a fake it till you make it. And it actually helped over time, but it takes a long time. I'm going to show you a few things that I do. There's many others that you can implement, but these are just a few things that I do. So the first one is mission and goals. So what's a mission? A mission is something that you can design, develop for your life, and it's really like your purpose, your reason for being. Now you can have small missions, like your reason for being at work, or you can have big missions, the reason for your life, what you're trying to accomplish. Now, what's so powerful about that is that it helps us to rise above the negative thoughts. So we have something happens to us. You know, someone hits our car in the parking lot. We're like, oh man, like this sucks. But then you think about your mission, and a good mission will embody multiple people, family, friends, the world, and then you rise above because you know it's not just about you. You know that there's work to do and there's people at stake. So that's a great mission, and it will help you rise above and it'll help you stay consistent every single day on your path and on your journey. Now, the other thing you can have is you can have goals. So goals are really just that daily motivation. You look down at a piece of paper, at goals you created, and goals that are hopefully exciting, and you read that, and what happens? You feel motivation. You feel excitement, and you feel aligned. Because those goals, when you read them in the morning or any time in the day, will help you with your tasks, with your actions, will help you create tasks and actions that are in line with that goal. So you read that in the day, and then if you go and say, let me give you an example to simplify it. So you say your goals, my goals are going to lose 10 pounds, 1 month, let's go. So you read that in the morning, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 1 month, let's go. And you see your future self, and you're motivated and inspired. Then when you go throughout the day, and you're standing at the grocery store, and you see that chocolate bar, but you read the goal in the morning, or you read the goal at lunch, you're like, you remember what the goal was. You remember where you're aiming towards. And it's easier to say no. Now, what's a mission that could be in line with that? You could say to yourself every single day, you could say, I want to be the fittest, healthiest person I can be. I want to have a transformation so that I can show my family, my friends, and the community that you can really live your dreams. You can really transform how you feel. So you read that in the morning. If you feel like you don't want to do it for yourself, you read that, you're doing it for others. So it's motivation. It rises you above the negative thinking, negative thought process. Now, the second one is affirmations, and gratitude kind of fits in there. You guys do affirmations sometimes? We did one at the beginning when we said, when I said, I feel like I believe that I'm meant to be here today. So that is an example. I guess I did it by myself, but that's an example of an affirmation. So affirmation statement is just a positive statement and usually encompasses some attribute that you're looking to gain or something you're looking to obtain. So if you want to feel more confident about your physical appearance, you say, man, I feel beautiful today. I love the way I look. I feel confident today. You read that a few times in the morning, that will help you change your thoughts. So you keep reading that and eventually you'll change your thought process. So affirmations are very easy and we can target them towards insecurities or things that we want in our life, and they can help us move ahead. The other one is gratitude. Now, gratitude can fit into an affirmation. You could affirm, you could make an affirming gratitude statement. You say, man, I'm really grateful to be here today. I'm really grateful for what I have. Now, Seneca, like an old-time philosopher, famous Stoic, he had this thing called negative gratitude. So what is negative gratitude? He would imagine his life, picture his life, without the things that he already has. And then he would begin to have gratitude for them. So if you got you don't have the car yet, but you're on the bike, this is my situation, you got the bike, you're like, oh man, you imagine your life without the bike, and then you see the bike, you're like, oh man, I actually love that bike again. Feels good, it's like brand new. So that's negative gratitude. And the interesting thing is they looked at people, they looked at kings hundreds of years ago and people in present day, and we actually have more than kings a couple hundred years ago. With our iPod, with our cars, with our access to information and all those different things, we have more than kings. So that's a pretty cool statement. So being grateful is it's like a state of mind, and it helps to make you more present to the moment because you're really just enjoying what you have and the experience of life. So last one, okay, we got two more actually. So this was how do you change the thought? Then this is how do you understand the thought? So you journal, say you journal at night, you write down your day, you are kind of the sum of all the parts of your day. You're the sum of all the thoughts. So you write down all your emotions, all your feelings for the entire day and all the things that happen. And when they're on paper, it becomes that much more easy to analyze how you're thinking, to analyze your thought process. I'll give you an example. So a few years ago, I broke up with this girl. We broke up with each other. I shouldn't say like I'm like the macho. Like I broke up with her. We broke up with each other, and it was tough for me. It was really tough, and I had a lot of thoughts that were like, man, what a waste of time. Man, like she never loved me. All these thoughts, and they're just kind of going on and on. It's like I wrote them down. Someone was like, you should journal. I was like, journal? I was like, I was at the point where I was like, I'll do whatever it takes. So I journaled, and then I started thinking about it. I was like, wait, was it really a waste of time? There was a lot of great experiences. I actually grew as a human being. Like, well, maybe it was beneficial. And so you start to go deeper into the thoughts, and you find the truth between the thoughts. Because when we have a thought, we attach a meaning to the thought, and when we attach a meaning to the thought, there's a consequence. So we break up, I attach the meaning, she never loved me, there's a consequence, I feel low self-esteem, I feel sad, depressed, and then that thought lingers. So you have to look at the meaning you attach to the thought to understand that and change it. This last one, meditation. You guys know meditation, right? Like yoga is a form of meditation, that's right. So meditation, this is something that like I always thought I was never gonna do. I was never gonna do it. But so many people that I really admired and respected kept coming back, and they're like, this is some good stuff. This is some great stuff. And I had this idea of what meditation was. It's like the guy sitting on the hill going, oh, like that was my idea of what meditation was. But then I realized it's just simply like, if you really boiled it down, a lot of meditations, you just like sit in a room and you try, this is a really simple example, but you try and think of nothing. You clear your mind, you think of nothing. And at the time when I first started doing it, it was so hard. It was extremely challenging. I could make it like 15 seconds and then thoughts would come in my mind. That incessant thinking. So meditation is how we can get rid of the thought. And again, it's a skill. It's something you cultivate over time and it builds on itself. So maybe one day you do 15 seconds, the next day you do 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Eventually you reach a point when you're actually going through the majority of your day and your mind is extremely calm and you're in the moment and you're just enjoying life. And when they look at people who meditate, they find that they're boosting their emotions. They're building positive emotions out of nothing. And it's completely free. This is pretty cool. And they find that those people have more focus and better immune systems. So meditation is something we can do very easily. Whenever we feel stressed, whenever we feel bogged down, just take a minute, sit in that quiet space, and just take a breath and go, whew. If you want to read more, a good book is Eckhart Tolle, Power Now. There's lots of other good books. That's just like the new guy that comes to mind, new guy on the block. You can check them out. So we kind of covered everything today. And what I want to do, just to wrap it up, before I thank you for coming, because thank you for coming. This is really cool. What I want to do is I want to give you a day in the life of when you're doing all these things right. And what it could look like, what it could feel like, maybe sound like, and kind of put it all together. Because a lot of times we wonder, like, how can I incorporate this?
Like one thing every day, like
Yep.
from the first part you do one thing, and then the second part you do one thing like each day.
Yeah, I'm going to put it, no, we're going to do it all in one day. And one of the ways we're going to do this, because what do they say? It's very hard to get more than one or two habits down in one instant. One of the ways we're going to do this is by scheduling our day out so that instead of trying to consciously think about it all the time, we have a piece of paper, we wake up, we press play on our life, and we just go through these tasks that are building towards something that are creating that 0.01% benefit every single day. So we just schedule and we press play on our life. We step into that moment in time, we're present, and it feels really good. So that's one of the ways we can do it. So what does a day look like? It's like you wake up and you're at that 5. You're 5 out of 10, you're feeling okay. And you decide, I'm going to do some good things right today so that I can boost my emotional state and feel good on this day. So the first thing you do is you wake up, you look around, you're in this like clean, pristine environment. The things that you're surrounded by have purpose, they build you up, they make you feel generally really good. Now there's order, there's not chaos, so when you're walking around your house, you feel calm, you feel in the moment, and you feel present. And it feels really good. So you're walking around your house, you get into the kitchen, and you decide the first thing you're going to do is you're going to meditate just to clear your mind, boost those positive emotions out of nothing and feel really good. So you set aside like 15 to 20 minutes, you meditate, you start to feel really good, your mind is more calm, and then you decide I'm going to look at who I am as a human being and what I'm trying to accomplish. So you read that mission. You're like, whew, man, there's the world at stake. There's family and friends at stake. I got to get the job done no matter what happens. And then you read your goal. Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing today. I'm trying to hit the gym. Oh, that's what I'm doing today. I'm trying to lose those pounds. I'm trying to read that book. That's what I'm doing today. And it creates motivation in the moment. And then the next thing you do is you look at a few areas of your life that you're maybe insecure of or you don't have that emotional state in, and you create affirmations, you read those affirmations. You say, you're looking to hit the gym, you're like, man, I love the way I look, and I love the process of improving. And I'm going to have a great workout today, and I'm going to be my healthiest self today. And you read those, you're like, oh man, you're feeling even better. And then you just practice a little bit of gratitude in the moment, like, I'm not where I want to be, but I have a lot going for me. And I kind of love my life right now. And you feel good, and you start to respect the things around you, the people around you, and you're going to show them a little bit more love throughout the day. So after that, let's say you, that's the wrong way. Let's say you go the other way. So after that, let's say you got to work really early in the morning, so you decide, I'm just going to carve out a little time, I'm going to bike or run to the gym to get that 20 minutes of fitness in. While I'm doing that, I'm plugging in the audiobook, which is some inspirational people, some motivational people, a how-to book, something that builds me up and just starts to repeat those great thoughts in my mind. You're listening to that as you're biking to work. Meanwhile, you could be riding that bike, you could be just like generally smiling, maybe doing a few internal laughs, but just feeling really good. And so you step inside your office or wherever you have to go that day, you're walking around, you're already feeling good because you pumped your state, and you're meeting people and you're just smiling, laughing, and generally having a really good time and enjoying connecting with them because you're grateful you have them in your life. So you're going through that. Then it's 10:30, you want a little break, so you set aside time to practice some deep breathing and maybe do a little bit of meditation again to help recharge your mind and get you back in the moment and boost your state. And as you're going through your day, of course, we're going to have that great body language to help people feel more calm in our presence and boost our state again. And as we go through the day, of course, we're eating great food that's sustaining us, that's rich with nutrients, that's boosting us up, and it's all prepped the day before. So we got in our bag, we just open up our bag, it's lunchtime, let's go. We know that the food was planned ahead and the food's going to boost us up. And when we get home, same thing. We've got that great food on demand all the time. Then it's the end of the day. We never had a Red Bull because we're feeling too darn good for Red Bulls. It's the end of the day, and we decide, we go back to our amazing house that's clean, and we decide we're going to carve out a little time to do two things. The first thing is we're going to carve out a little time just to look on YouTube, because we love YouTube. We want to look on it, but we're not just looking at junk or maybe hours and hours of cat videos. We decide we're going to watch something of substance and value that we know is going to boost our state. We know it's going to make us feel good, and we planned it consciously beforehand. And then after that, we got a little time left, so we carve out that time to hang out with people that believe in us, that are great big thinkers, and generally just put a smile on our face. And then, end of the day, and you believe that you are the sum of all those parts, you're the sum of all those actions, all those thoughts, so you set aside a little bit of time to journal so that you can see how your day went, and you can try and improve for the next day. Because that's really what life is. It's constant upward spiral or a constant downward spiral. And you get to decide.